Okay, we'll begin the meeting by saying the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the September 30th, 2025 special budget meeting. Today we'll be doing our final budget review. I think we've had, I don't know how many meetings now, but several. So hopefully we can get it nailed down today. But with that, I'll let Christina
Okay,
take over.
so I updated the budget items that we talked about last meeting into the general levy reports. So it was the technology reduction of 75,000, the new equipment for the county park reduction of 30,000, court facility improvement grant of 30,000. And we heard back from our health insurance about asking if we could keep our renewal as is plan, and they said that because they already submitted it, they do that by August 29th. We're not able to make changes again. So I added that $35,000 reduction back into the county general budget. So with those reductions, if you look right behind the agenda, our general fund, the mills that we would request to levy right now with those reductions are $3,971,866.52. If you look on the next page, the 3% cap is listed at the very top of the max levy worksheet. If we project a cash reserve of $3,050,000, which brings our levy to that $3,971,866. Our max levy cap for the 3% cap is 4.1 million. So you have 134,000. I listed that at the very top of the page under max levy 3% cap, next to the current levy limit. So you have 134,000 that you could levy in the county general budget.
And still be under the 3%.
Yes. Yes.
So all of a sudden, we're going from being at our max mills down to 57.45 mills.
Yes, because when I went to look at the cap calculation worksheet, which is on the next page. It is on total dollars levied, not on the total dollars in your budget. So that was my mistake in what I was communicating previously.
You mean the mills are calculated on that, you mean, or the 3% cap?
So the 3% cap goes off the mill levy,
What we're
the
requesting.
dollars levied, total dollars levied.
Okay,
So last year, the total dollars levied was $3,956,265. With that 3% cap, you could levy $4,074,953. But if you take our new growth, so it's our new growth minus our decrease in value, that increases your value even more. So with the adding the new property tax value, which is line 19, minus the removed property tax value, you can increase by 506,000, so the allowance for the new growth is another 30,000. So that brought your base year levy up and then you add the 3%. So then I put in our total levy request on line 44 of the next sheet. Of the same worksheet. So that is what our total levy request is right now. And then it calculates the unused cap amount at 134,000.
So we could put up to 134,000 back into our budget is what you're saying?
Yes, yes. Yes, you can. And then I did print off the county general budget again. By line item. If we wanna review. Putting that money back into.
Home insurance, that one can't, the bottom one basically.
Yeah. Yeah, they said that since we had already submitted the. Updated plan. By August 29th, they needed it, so they had already submitted it on their end, and she had replied back, they couldn't make adjustments right now.
So the one, oh, Fern, go ahead. Sorry.
I sort of like being under 2 mils. To, you know, not, why, if it shows that we don't really need it and we've already got everything in here, why should we levy even more?
Then,
Well, I guess the more I hear about buildings and grounds, I think we should put some of that money back in there. I mean, every time we open up a can of worms around here, it's like,
But if we run short, we can always take that out of our general fund too.
we could, but
we
And we
did
got
go,
enough there, I just like. I guess if we can give the taxpayers less mills. I sort of like that, and then, you know, it's not like that, we don't have a cushion in our general now. And I know we got bridge trouble and everything else, and I like to see that up there, but. I think between our buildings and grounds, if something major come up with 100,000, we can take it out of general fund, that's just my opinion.
Amy or Christie, one of you have a
I
question?
wanna clarify on that.
Yeah, so buildings and grounds, we made no reductions to what I have suggested, so there,
Okay.
the full request is in there now, again, from last meeting. But you could definitely add more into there if you wanted to.
So my concern is, I'm with you, Ernie, if we could reduce taxes, I'm all for it. But we're in a very new learning phase here with the budget. Okay, and Christine has been very upfront and honest with us that she's still learning, she just came on this job. I'm gonna be very honest, I'm not so sure. I am 100% comfortable that everything is gonna pan out the way we think it's going to pan out. Just because the last few years we have needed all those mills. Now, one of the reasons we might not need them this year is because we have department heads who, after their budget meetings. Were very frugal when they came in, and they reduced their budget substantially, maybe too much, because they felt they had to. Ron, I believe you said you reduced your budget by 70,000, was it?
I did, yes.
That concerns me, I mean. Are you gonna be able to live with that, or do we need to look at maybe putting some money back into your budget? I'll let you think on that, Ben.
Okay.
I'm gonna let you think on that, and then you get my attention so we can come back to it.
Okay.
The other thing I'm concerned about is, we're living in this land with the 3% cap now. So if we drop our mills now, we can't go up more than that 3% the next year, right? I mean,
Yeah,
So that really concerns me. Again, I'm all for reducing the mills to the taxpayers, but I don't think this is the year to do it because we have too many unknowns. I guess that's just how I feel. I don't feel it's fair to Christina to really put her on the spot when she just started with us, how many months ago?
Four.
4 months ago, and she's supposed to understand this budget in depth and where everything is coming from. That's a heavy weight, that's a heavy load on her, so I'd like to be able to give her a year and kind of like to keep it at the mills we have been and maybe bring back into some of the budget where we did have department heads reduced, maybe we need to look at that, and I don't wanna strap ourselves, you guys, if we drop it down to this 50, 57, 58 mills, next year, we're pretty strapped.
Yep.
Ernie,
Our fund is down now. We might be strapped, but every year, and I say it since I've been for how many years, our final numbers always come in higher. And our overage is up every year. That's why I think we should just stick at this thing, and if something happens, we take it out of the general fund. We've been working at paying down that general fund how many times last year and everything else, and it's not like it's crunch. And I get what you're saying, Christie, but I guess just me, I wanna be responsible, and I just think that 57, if Ron's, we've done it many times here, Ron's budget or Jason, they come in at the end of the year over their budget, what do? We just flip some money. So to me, a budget is the best guess estimate. We can't guess what the Ron's gonna have go wrong in the court or the jail or Jason in these buildings. If you really wanted to be frugal, we could say, well, let's put another 300,000 in there, and it might not cover it. I mean, every time he calls me, there's something wrong with his building. But to me, I'm open-minded now, I'm looking at that and we only budget so much and I'm going, well, there goes the general fund, 100,000 here, 200 there. And thank God we've got money left over in our surplus or whatever you wanna call it. So that's just my thinking. We've done it before and every year when we come back at the end of the year, it seems like our overflow is always there. And then our general fund grows. If that was going the other way, I'd probably say no, but it hasn't for quite a few years. And that's just what I'm thinking. I wanna see the taxpayers, and I get your 3%, but what's that gonna affect us? 3%, is that 134,000 next year? Yeah, I don't know.
you'll never get back up to your 60 mils.
Well,
Yeah,
no,
how many years will, at that 3%, how many years will it take us to get that back?
I think they're gonna get enough guff up there that that's gonna change. You look at Fargo, the cities, well,
So,
we can't, no, but
so here's my one thought with that is. There were many years when this county was in the deficit,
Yep.
right? Okay, and then we slowly started building our way back up. And that was all fine until the state came up with this 75% cap rule. I think we had many years of building up. It's not like we had 1 year boom of all that. That money that was carried over. It was several years of building up to get to that point, and then they implemented this 75% cap. So I guess I just have some concerns there.
I get it, you know, cause basically what the legislation has done to us is. Cause we're afraid of the 3%, if we're gonna levy the full amount every time.
And I've heard that,
Yeah.
I've heard that from other counties.
Yeah. And that's wrong.
Denny, did you have?
No,
you got it.
that's what my concern was, how many years will it take us to get that back?
Yeah, and what if we're missing something this year?
Oh, yeah.
You know, and please, Christina, don't take that wrong. Because I just think this is a big load for you to try to figure out all the ins and outs of this budget and. Why all of a sudden this year would we need less mills other than we had department heads who did reduce their budgets because they. Felt they had to. Jason, you had a question?
Just more of a statement. The last few years that I've been here, every year, we're then, when we get to October, we gotta deal with health insurance. There's always a question, where this year we made big cuts to health insurance. In the future, who knows what type of rate we're gonna get, they never tell us what we're gonna be until we're stuck. And then we had to make a decision, cause we were at that point in time, we were way short. So we cut everyone's health insurance portion, so we didn't make it into it, cause we were told we have to. I don't know what we're gonna get for health insurance again this next year, even though we changed plans and went to something different. They can still come back at us with a 10, 15, who knows, with their increases. It seems like it's not just here, it's everywhere that they're doing this. It's not just the government line, it's every line.
Amy?
Madam Chair, and I think that point that our goal with health insurance is we're not waiting till the end to find that out. I do think we need to really look at our health insurance because I believe we can do better for our employees without these 19-20% and having to be in one, only this, you know, the one that we're in. I think, things that I want us, you know, I want to get to. When I look at, because the other thing I think of for employees that we have talked about is we're doing market surveys. We're bringing people higher when we're looking at wages. We've adjusted that. There was some very large adjustments for many employees this year that's a positive when I look at it. We're, you know, we're being mindful of that. So part of me feels like that needs to be taken into account too. You know, it's not cutting. We are definitely looking to be sure we're paying people what they should be paid. I'll just be honest, I don't wanna be at 60 mils if we can help it. I would like to see that year after year. And we also need to know where we are at the end of the year. That's something I wanna ask Christina. You know, come end of 2025, our last meeting of the year, or maybe it's the first in January, we need to know where we sit. Because the other part of budgeting that, you know, and Paul has brought this to light, which has been great, is if department heads have line items they're not using, that needs to go into the next year as budget, that if they are using certain funds, buildings and grounds, it should be sitting there, not re-levied the next year. So that also could be impacting why our numbers are there as well. And I think that's an okay thing, that we're actually looking at dollars that were from the previous year are sitting in the general fund and maybe we're using them now. So I'm with her, I'm in favor of what was presented today.
Oh,
I think the 3% cap that the state implemented is naturally going to put downward pressure on our mill rate, and I think that's part of what we're seeing here. In our case, it probably isn't as great as in some cases because we don't have huge increases in value, particularly with new growth. Whereas like your big cities, they see all this new growth. They see, you know, market value changes significant, and so I think their numbers, their mills will probably fall faster than ours. But I think that new law is gonna put downward pressure on our mills, and I think that was the whole point. I think that's exactly what the legislature wanted to happen, so there's that. I would in the original time when we set up this budget, only 75,000 got added for the county administrator. I would like to maybe see that number go up a little bit. Even another 50,000 or something to make it a little easier to move forward with that position in the 2026 calendar year is something I'd like to see. The money would be there. So I just like everybody to consider that.
I guess I've been a big pusher of that administrator, and I don't see us doing anything real quick, so maybe it's 75 or whatever we come up with for a half a year, but in that respect, I'd probably look at Ron with his department over there being short. I think I'd rather put the extra 50 or 75 back into his budget than the administrator. Cause like I said last time, if we wanted to hire somebody, we could still use general fund or whatever, but we still got 75 in there, and I don't know what, there's no way I think we'd hire anybody, even if we're gonna hire anybody before half the year is gone.
Well, we can make that work.
Yeah. So, but that's what I said, I'd rather give it to him. Like I said, I'd like to see them. I'm not stuck at 57 if we wanna meet halfway in between, but I don't know, I'd like to see those mills go down, but it's what everybody else wants.
and I don't disagree with you. I really wanna see the mills go down too. I just am not at a comfort level this year where I feel like we're solid on these numbers. I'm a little concerned about that.
You look at all these worksheets, and I thank you for doing all of them and explaining them, and I still look at it, my head spits.
Exactly,
Where these numbers
and
come
I've
from,
done, yeah, I've gone back and forth, like, why did
Yeah.
this number change and why did that number change, and comparing it, and
2 years ago, we didn't have anything like this, and now I'm looking at it and going, wow. Yeah,
so.
So Christina, on this max mill levy worksheet that you gave us. So I've got that on my computer, and the the 3,050,000 that you have in blue is cash reserves. Is that the number you expect to have in cash reserves at the end of 2026?
Yeah, so from,
Or you would hope to have based on these numbers?
yeah, I think that number is, and I honestly don't understand the cash reserves line item very well yet. But I think it's at least that amount in your fund, like left in your fund.
That's what you would like to see in your fund at the end of the period.
Yeah, I think that accounts for what's left in your fund balance.
I'm not an expert on this
Yeah.
spreadsheet either, so that wasn't a statement, it was a question more so.
Yes, I think so, but I mean, don't quote me on that because I don't really understand that line item yet.
The reason I ask is because if you change that number to 3.2 million, in other words, we want cash reserves of 3.2 million instead of 3.05. The mill rate goes to 59.62, which. And I don't know what the right thing to do is, but my point is all we're doing in that statement is saying we're gonna have a little bit more cash reserve at the end of the year, which I think helps both your problems.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know if that's the right thing to do, but that. Cause I kinda like the idea of lowering the mills too, but
well, you know yourself, budgets every year, I call it the guesstimate. It's your best guesstimate of what's gonna happen. How do you predict what's gonna happen here, there, or a bridge breaking down or anything else?
but that's 3.2, this is 3.05, that's basically the 134,000 that.
Yeah.
She said we can add.
so you had 3.2 on one of the past spreadsheets, is that what you're saying?
I just plugged these
Oh, you
numbers
just plugged it in, okay, okay. Yeah, and the other thing we don't know exactly is, you know, what we'll take in for taxes in December, that can vary too, you
Yeah.
know, that's a. Somewhat of an educated guess on here, but it's not perfect, so that's included on here, you know, you don't know exactly what's going to come in. Will they pay by January 1 or will they wait till after January, so.
If you go to 3.1, it's 58.18, you know, it's.
I'm gonna come back to Ron. Have you thought of anything that you pulled out of your budget that you really didn't want to pull out of your budget, but you did? And I don't mean to put you on the spot.
No, with my current budget, I will be back for a budget amendment at the end of the year. I think they took a little too much out of the gas budget for my liking.
Okay,
I'd like to see at least 25,000 of that back in my gas budget.
okay,
Madam Chair,
Amy,
Christina, did we ever find out what the budget or the general reserves at year end? What the number was last budget cycle?
Okay, let me see if I can look. We have our
I
fund.
think it was about the same, but I can't remember. I
Okay.
don't know if I have that.
I don't know where it goes, which page on. Which handbook.
So then, if we're looking at the sheriff gas, that would be on the fourth page of the budget spell sheet. And it's 1,042.11.34. So 55,000. In the spreadsheet. Not even in the spreadsheet.
Remind me of that. Is it, so what was you? I don't remember what the titles says.
So year to date would be that 30,017.
The 23 was 50,181 and 24 was 47,248.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the papers? This down graph.
Here,
No,
here,
and
start with
here,
this one, start with this packet, and then from that, you see attached to these first.
So your agenda packet.
The.
I just did it. There.
There it is. Okay, and it's almost all the way to the back. It's
What was it?
4 pages from the back. It's way, yeah, it's a.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
Ron, not to ask you something else, but I guess when I think of gas, I'm feeling a little better about that these days, but not vehicles. There isn't. Some, I mean,
So just to refresh your recollection about my budget, I'm on a 3-2-3 cycle with my cars, so this year. Some of the reduction was because I'm only asking for 2 cars this year. Next year, there will be 3 cars, so. That is part of that too.
At 50 grand a car.
And it's got.
Or more.
I just looked, they're up to 53,000 already for a car.
Yeah, the 3 million, according to what I have here, Christina, the 3,050,000 is what was in the cash reserves for last year's spreadsheet too.
Okay, yeah. I saw them.
So it didn't go up or down.
carry the number over.
Yeah,
Yeah, it would have been nice if you could have had a volunteer or 2 under your
Yeah.
belt, so you
Yeah.
really could see how it all panned out, I mean, just coming in. It's not expected, you would be
yeah.
way up here on this budget already, I mean, it's a lot to learn, that's why I just have some concerns with changing.
You've done a great job in a short time.
Absolutely, lots to
I'm
take in.
fine.
So you're thinking of taking that 55 amended up to 70 then? No, 80. If we add 25 back,
Mhm.
just so.
I don't know, Brian,
Yes.
yeah,
Okay,
55 to 80. Jason, I'd like to ask you the same, I guess, was there anything that you felt that you took out, or what did we, I know we already resolved the capital outlay and the building and grounds. Okay, and then the Hami, you were looking into getting that done this year, right?
Bunch of contractors and one day say you get it done this year, so you need to get it done this afternoon.
Okay, so we're fine there, we don't need to put that back in.
Right.
you know, the new equipment and technology on these lines, these yellow lines. Those were,
Yeah, that's most of it, wasn't it?
the what?
Yeah, wasn't it?
No, we need. Everything was approved, but I'm just wondering what these were, or if they just because we didn't feel that those. We needed that amount.
Well, didn't we have to replace some computers?
Those are the ones Christina identified.
yeah,
That we could lower.
yeah, so the new equipment comes from the county park. That's that line item,
Right, so,
and we have discussed at the last meeting, trying to use this year's budget to update the shelter.
mhm,
The technology, we had replaced a bunch of computers
Yeah.
this year. So our technology budget was higher, but in previous years, it's been 150 or below, so. I thought it would be good to reduce it.
mhm. What's the 135 bottom? You might need to put that was.
Okay, so that is just a note to myself that 75,000 plus 30,000 plus 30,000 is 135,000.
Gotcha, okay. the three of them.
Because I didn't have health insurance in there at first,
Mhm.
and then once I added health insurance in there, I should have deleted that.
Okay, gotcha. Here's what doesn't, what I what I can't get my head around, what doesn't seem right to me is. We did have increases because it was our year to do market surveys, right? We do them. And we did have some substantial increases there. Plus, we're doing the 2.5% COLA. We should have been over, and we're coming in quite a bit under, and we added in the 75,000 for the administrator for build that road. Why are we coming in so much lower on our budgets?
My hunch is that in the 25 budget, there was $600,000 transfer budgeted for the jail. And that's not in the 26 budget, so I guess that's what most of it. Sort of,
That wasn't budgeted for, was it? No,
yeah,
the 600 was budgeted for?
for this calendar,
Oh,
last year, for the 25, it's in the 25 budgets, right? Christina?
Yep, it was in this year's budget, a $600,000 transfer.
it was, okay,
And I think that's,
that's where our difference is,
Plus your evaluation went up some, so.
yeah,
our residential,
Yeah.
not a lot, but some,
some, yeah.
okay. Thoughts?
I'll pretend I'm in the auction, I'll meet halfway in the middle between 57 or 60 and give Ron back that. Then we're still, you know, I think we're safe. Like I said, how do you predict everything in this place?
Check out.
What's that?
Oh,
Like that, what is that number you had, we were 50 and something, hit that thing and live with it and. I just like showing we're trying to be responsible and yet we're not real scary about the 3%, that meeting in the middle, I don't think. Who knows, they might change something up there and change it and be even worse next time.
Well, we know next year we're gonna have an additional 50,000 for a vehicle, we're gonna have 30,000 for the
Yeah.
court facility ground. You know, it's kind of like we're on our off year, I feel like, with some of these things.
Yeah.
Because that court facility grant is usually right around 30,000 as least,
Yeah,
and they're having all kinds of, like,
What's that?
and they're having some issues up there, right, with different things that they need. Not the court facility ground, but on the third floor with some issues,
Third floor, main floor.
every floor, yeah.
That's the part that scares me is the buildings and grounds, because.
Yeah.
They're $100,000 every time, there's $100,000.
Well, last week when we were after our last meeting, when you were leaving, he showed me that little fitting with the floor on the end of it, and what was it, $2,700 for it?
$2,700.
For a little piece of thing, and I'm going. Can't get it, gotta look for it, did you get a new one or a used one? New one? And I said, that's the scary part, I mean, everything's getting so old here.
The other thing that, the other thing that worries me is if something goes wrong with that jail and we have to start farming out all these prisoners. What do we do then?
Mhm. Exactly. Amy?
Yeah, I mean, I think then we adjust our budgets and look at where things are at. You know, for 27, or when we're looking at, we can only do with what's in front of us, and I think that, it's important that we're monitoring budgets so that if gas is only 50,000, Ron's got 30 for next year. He's only gonna be budgeting 20, come 20, and maybe that will be the difference that we now have the court facility. So, you know, I think that those are the things that I look at, that I like the idea of us being more mindful of what's happening year to year in these line items. And if money's not being spent, then let's not levy as much or plan for as much going forward, and giving those department heads that, you know, authority and ability to watch those. Or if they need more.
Jason?
We do have filter housing that's still on order from last spring. For the law enforcement center, there's a part of the EDU film system. Cause that housing blew a hole in it after all that metal. It's on order, but it's with the company that makes them, it's once you place the order, then they start to build it. And we still don't have that, and we still don't know what we're getting,
Do you know what it's going to cost roughly?
5,000 plus.
How about also this radon business? We haven't paid for any of that.
We've been making partial payments as Brian's getting portions done, but we still have on October 6th, he'll be back to drill 2 more holes through the roof of the admin building, so. It'll be an extremely loud day in there again. We've been doing 2 pilot holes from inside and then we'll go into the roof and drill down so that it's not as loud, but you're still gonna have vibrations.
But I'm looking more expensive.
Probably, still probably gotta get 120 grand there.
Okay, so 120 grand, you have that in your current
No,
budget?
another 20.
Oh, another 20, that's like 100.
But then
Do you have that in your budget for this year? Is it something we need to be budgeting for next year?
We're gonna be tight to the end of this one, but right now I should be okay with the things that. When we started having issues and didn't do the carpet. I flexed, so that project sits and do other things, so. But we just had to bust the floor in the, open in the boiler room to replace the cast iron trap that was filled up to the point and we refer all water backing up in further cast iron pipes, so. The original cast iron pipes here are closing in on themselves with corrosion.
Okay,
Madam Chair, what is the name of that guy you brought here?
For radon,
Nope.
No.
Or-
Our overall plan?
Yeah.
What's his name?
Gavin from ESG.
I have high hopes for Gavin. I mean, truly, to give us a little bit of strategic plan when it comes to these buildings and grounds, so. I hope he's at a few more meetings, cause I liked his. I mean, just so we have some form of a plan or an idea to give us some direction, even if it means budgeting or a funding a line item to be sure we have. An amount in there to keep doing projects instead of guessing what's gonna break next.
would have been nice to have it for the budget season now.
I was talking to him this morning, he was showing it in upstairs there, cause they don't have hot water, and then the heaters. They're tripping, the old fuses, the round ones. I mean, they're coming obsolete, we still got that in this building. And I'm looking, I told him, I said, why don't you see if they can look at that in the overall picture, updating this to breakers and everything else, cause we're to the limit on our power. You know, so what do you do? So that's just all the things that I didn't even know we still had the round.
So is that something we should be budgeting for this year?
Well, I don't know if it's this year or next year, but I think it's an overall picture in that.
Well, that'd be in this budget, right? Next year, 2026, or are you talking 27?
27.
27. So to me, I told him, I said, probably look at that under wiring and see what we have to do so we can add stuff to this building.
I don't know what it costs them on Troy to be, no, I think that's a 27 ounce brain for people running that.
Because even with the cameras, they don't have enough power.
That's just what I was gonna say, we looked at adding more security to the outside of the building. We don't have enough power. How much power does that take for cameras and LED lights?
I don't know if it's power, it's probably outlets.
Well, it's power because there's.
Yeah, well, yeah.
There's no room in the breeder grounds.
Yeah,
So I'm hearing all these things, but we're not budgeting for any of them yet.
No, that's. the
Then
same.
shouldn't we be budgeting for that if we have some wiggle room this year?
I think I want him, this is just me speaking, because that, the person you were talking about, to me, he's looking at heaters, coolers and everything else, and look at our electrical and put that all in that 10 or 20 year deal. And then budget it for, like you said, for 27.
Because we did put back in,
Yeah, I know, we put him back to where he was going to be,
Yeah,
right? We,
capital outlay 175,
175,
buildings and grounds 100.
I guess who knows what it costs? You're probably looking at adding wires, replacing this. Boxes, they're not cheap, you know?
We had 160 for the tuck point deal, didn't we?
Yeah, it was some belt time, yeah. I don't know if you wanna add, well, even if you go to the 58, you probably have room for 20,000 for electrical to look at in here, I don't know. I'm not good with the numbers of where you come up, Paul, but to me, it's something we gotta look at, that's.
Christina,
Yeah, so I've updated the numbers in the Max Levy worksheet for county general and you, with adding back 25,000 to the sheriff's budget and increasing cash reserve to 3.1. You have 59,000 left that you can add back into the budget and still meet the 3% cap.
I'm in favor of meeting the 3% cap, but. Just because I think we have so many building issues coming at us.
That's the scary part. I mean, every week he calls me something's wrong, or picture here and there.
We have an old building.
Buildings.
Pardon?
Several of them.
Buildings.
Several of them, yeah, more than one, unfortunately. Yeah, and it seems like Jason comes in and there's always something new, and not your fault, Jason, but there's always something new that's going wrong with them, and you have to keep them up. I mean, if we don't do maintenance and keep them up, then we're going backwards.
I think he was on the roof of the sheriff's building over there last week more than he was in his office. Trying to fix stuff that we're still not done. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you, Jason, again, putting you on the spot, but if we put that 59,000 into your budget for buildings and grounds or capital outlay, whichever one.
We should most likely find the spot to spend it. Unfortunately, it would be hard.
It'd be what?
Unfortunately, it's not hard.
That would be my thought. That we do that just because of all the issues we have, but
It would probably wouldn't be a wish list, it'd be a maintenance, wouldn't it? That's what's scary. You know, if you're asking for something new, I don't have a problem, but when it's maintenance, that's scary.
yeah, it's not like we're going out and buying something, it's, we're just trying to keep up our buildings.
No.
Anything.
You know, until Gavin kind of makes a plan, I would appreciate at least to, maybe if you could provide us a little bit of a prioritized. With what the funds, if we're adding the 59,000 in and you're seeing what across campus amongst our buildings where that could be used. I'm just a big fan of having kind of projects behind dollars.
And I can give you one, 90,000 for the 3 rooftop units on top of Chase. That's one.
Oh,
I agree with that, you know, you're talking about capital improvements and buildings, grounds in these funds, to me. You know, we have 175 here and 100 there, I agree, it would be nice to know, you know, these are kind of our top 3 or 4 priority projects that. We have in mind with this money, and this money might not cover all 3 or 4 of those projects or whatever, but. It would be nice to have that as part of this process. Because, you know, and then maybe in May. Something else comes up and well, okay, this project's gonna have to get set aside because now this is an emergency type of thing. But we all are on the same page, we all know where this money's going, and I don't have any doubt. We could put as much money as you want in there, and you'd find a way to spend it, but that's not the way to do it either. So I agree, I would like to see specific projects for these types of line items.
pretty,
Could you do something like our bridges, you sort of rate them? Do it with the building stuff, you know, Chase heating #1 and something over the LDC. So then at least we know we have a priority or, I'm gonna call it top 5, we probably got 20 of them, but we got top 5.
Yeah.
And I think that'd help us making decisions too, and helping you also.
Well, I'm working on it.
Yeah. And I know, you're sort of like a football game, when you get behind, your plans change. Well, guess what, how many times have you changed what we're gonna do here and all of a sudden we're doing it over there? At least it gives us an idea.
Like the $200,000 roof in Lincoln that just blew up.
Yeah, I mean,
right, at one of our shops, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
One other thing I'd like to add is that, you know. We seem to be wanting, you know, we wanna add some money back for this and I'm not necessarily opposed to that, cause I understand the need. But what makes more sense to me is to just increase the cash reserve number, because then that, rather than this line item or that line item, because then. If, for example, we. When you put it in for gas for the sheriff, for example, it's there for gas for the sheriff, you can't use it for anything else. If it's in the cash reserve. We can use it for other things, knowing that we put it there on purpose. I mean, this was part of the plan. And, well. I'll say it again, I think we need to add a little bit more for the county administrator. But at the end of the day, if we don't. And we wanna hire somebody in, you know, say July, for example. If there's extra money in the cash reserves, we know it's there. If it's in the sheriff's line item for gas, we can't use it. Or anything else. And so for my comfort, it would make more sense to carry it over in the cash reserve, but. Yeah, because, I mean, when I look at Ron's gas budget. He hasn't spent more than 50,000 in the last 2 years, he's budgeting 55 this year, it doesn't look out of line to me. Unless there's something I don't know, but I'm just saying, and again, if that money's in the cash reserves and Ron spends $60,000, the money's still there.
Did you have a question, Ron?
I agree, I think. It's overall budget, right? It's not just gas. I get what you're saying, and that's why I adjusted it, but. I think I adjusted it down too far and I'm gonna need to come back, if that's. If the money's available for me to come back. I guess I'm fine with that too, but, that's. Off the top of my head, that's where I went with that, and that's why I went with it.
You were, yeah, that's just an off the top of your head thing. My point is if you spend $60,000 in 2026, the bills are gonna get paid.
Right,
You're gonna be over your budget on that line item. And that's a clue to us for next year that we didn't budget them. You know, that's,
Madam Chair,
Amy?
I like that better for you than, because then it's not just for gas, so that if something else were to come up in budget. Or that was over, that he could come to us that way. One thing that I've been thinking about, discussing this administrator that's been, in terms of use. I look a little bit at Jason and the amount of hats that he's wearing and, you know, even particularly buildings and grounds, having someone from that perspective. I personally feel that we have some positions here that are really good at putting out fires, but are not as proactive as I'd like to see. Tanya, I think she's amazing at what she does. I love working with her. Tanya is able to put out fires because that's what she's hired for. She's part-time. There are so many more things in our county, or contracted, I'm sorry, but I'm just saying, like. I don't feel that we use her, you know, as much as we could, and that there could be things proactively done. Versus just putting on her plate when things basically come up or go on fire, if you will. Same thing, I mean, how much Jason can do when we're asking for proactive plans, things that, you know, to bounce things off of, run the highway department, do buildings and grounds. That's where I see there being a definite benefit, in my opinion, to trying, because I do think we could utilize someone to be able to help with some of these issues more proactively.
Okay, where are we at?
I was just thinking that. Where does that bring us? I guess I got another question for Ron. Ron. Where do you see, and that's when you talk overall budget, well, like you said, and you stick it over here, so it's not for gas, but you got 10,000 for something else. Where do you see the cost of us contracting our prisoners and stuff? It's going up, isn't it? It's not going down.
oh, Grand Forks just, yeah, the price of contracting,
Yeah.
yeah, Grand Forks is up at. I think around $105 a day now,
Yeah.
for a regular prisoner and. $130 for one that's not compliant, so. Yes, everybody's rates have gone up.
Well, I just look at, and I justify them doing it, and you look at the cost of food or anything nowadays. They gotta feed them. What is our cost increased here at the jail to feed our guys? So I said, that's the unknowns now with everything that.
And I have no problem with the rates going up because you're not going to make the money back on contracting prisoners.
Yeah.
There's no way you can make your rates high enough to pay for a new building, and Cass County and Grand Forks just built a new building, so.
There's a lot of demand for beds with ice now too, isn't there?
ICE in the US Marshals, yes, they're, yeah, ICE has reached out to me asking for beds. They've got no bed space anywhere, so yes.
Okay, so what I kind of feel like I'm hearing from the group is, well, I shouldn't say the group, but from Paul, our options would be. From Paul, instead of doing that line item, put up our cash reserves.
Yeah.
And then let them come in when they use up their budget, if they need more, they could just make a request at that time, take it out of the cash reserves. Are you guys good with that? Is that what you'd like to do as well, or do you wanna keep it line item?
Are you referring to the 30,000 or the 134?
Pick a number. I'm not, I didn't suggest a number. I'm just saying, rather than go back and start adding to line items, it makes more sense to me if you want to increase it to increase the cash reserve, because then that money is a little bit more free flowing. It can be used for buildings and grounds, or it can be used for gas, because we're putting it there
Intentionally.
intentions.
I
So,
think what's hard is we've never operated like that, we've always operated within this budget, and we look at what's in the line item, but. It's just a new concept, I guess, Jason.
One thing is, the sheriff's part budget is out of 1,000, right, from the general fund. The buildings grounds is out of 1,000 for the general fund. So if I have money that I'm negative on in one of my lines just for my section, but I have one that's not in another one, it gets spent back and forth between that as long as that bottom isn't there. The same thing works for him, where if his fuel went way over and I had it there in from the buildings and grounds, being it's in that 1,000 in the general fund, it can transfer back and forth between department. It's usually how it is.
It's coming from the same fund, yeah.
Yeah.
so, along your line of thinking, I can't think like you. So if we increase the cash reserve, where are you looking at the mill levy then? Is that gonna affect, and that's my, huh?
It'll affect the middle.
You saw it.
So, like I said, it hurt, per number here was 3,050,000,
Yep.
which is exactly what was in there last year, and that produced a mill levy of 57.45. So if you increase that 3,050,000 to 3.2 million. Oops.
But this is what concerns me, Paul. Where are we getting this number from? We're just pulling the number out of the air. Like, where are we getting this 2.2 from?
Well, it's more than we had last year, I guess is what I would say to that. And I don't know where the number came from last year.
Mhm, mhm.
I think that's why she used the 3.05 was because that's what it was last year. So we're maintaining our cash reserve.
Right. And the public gets pretty, they hear that word cash reserve.
Well, it's in my mind, it's 50% of the general fund, and that's plenty as far as I'm concerned. It's not obscene.
Mhm. It's within our limitation, yeah. Okay.
So then you, with that, where would you?
Oh, I was going to ask if I take that 25,000 back out of the sheriff's gas line item then? That's not what we're discussing.
Just as an example to answer your question, if you go to 3.1 million, which is only 50,000 more, and then that's exactly 60.03 mils. Is that what you get?
Not yet, because I need to know if we're taking 25,000 back out of the sheriff or are you adding the 59,000 to the cash reserve?
I get, Ron's at fine. Thank you, Ron. Yeah, Amy, you had something? Or Ernie, you were.
No, I
No,
don't.
No, okay.
no, that's what I wanted to know, where we.
Danny, I'm just gonna go wrong thing, but Danny, you have
Does
something.
that cash reserve include the 1.4 ARPA that we transferred?
Our current, so the ARPA was transferred into county general last year in 2024. And then we used the money for salaries and qualified expenses. And we were able to transfer funds out of county general into the capital projects fund. So there's no ARPA funds right now
Right.
in county general.
So it's not included in this cash reserve, is
No.
what you're saying?
No.
That was your question, right? Is it included in the cash reserve? Yeah.
That's in the capital projects. Fund now.
I don't remember if it's capital projects or capital improvement. We have those two funds.
It's in the capital. Oh, goodness. I have
It's in one of the two.
Yeah.
That's all I can tell
One
you.
of the two.
The capital project is the 10 mills that we take every year, so I'm not sure if it
Oh.
was transferred, I think it was transferred into
Capital
capital
improvements, yeah, it's in
Yeah.
capital
Okay.
improvement.
So capital improvements, the actual fund that. Goes to.
Both the capital improvements and the capital projects are part of the HVAC.
They're designated for that, yeah.
I'm still confused.
Okay.
Yeah, I could do it.
Okay, so I added. I took the 25,000 out of the sheriff line item and I put it into the cash reserves. It brought your cash reserve to 3.14 million. And then the mill levy is 4,105,909. 3% cap,
How much is that?
the 3% cap.
4 million what?
$4,105,909. So that brings your levy amount, or the levies to 59.39.
You give me that, mills.
Yep, 59.39 mils. It's $4,105,909.
And 59.39 is.
Yep,
So it's up about 50,000, and what we put those, 59.
so yep, I added the 59,000 that was left. Well, I took the 25,000 out of the sheriff, so then it was more. And I added, so it came out to 84,000 and I added that to the cash reserve.
But then. Okay, so by doing that, so Jason doesn't really. He can't look at his budget and say, hey, I got that 59,000 sitting there. That's what we were talking about, right? Was about 59,000. It's just if he comes up with a project and he needs that money, then he has to come to us and ask for it, all the cash reserves.
But Jason got everything he asked for in capital.
Right.
Capital improvements.
Right, but I'm just talking about our discussion now that we were having where we had this, I don't wanna say this extra 59,000, we had 59,000 to work with and we talked about maybe putting it in there. It's a new way to wrap our head around it, I guess. And then we still stay within the limitation, I see you've got one of those limitation boxes, why,
Yep, so we're exactly at the 3% budget cap. Our final county general total budget is at $6.5 million, $56.33. I think that's the same number in here. Yes, so that's the same number on the max levy worksheet.
this one?
Yep. So the total budget is that top number, yep, the
6.5.
yes. And then I have increased the cash reserve to $3,184,042.48. $3,184,042.48. 48 cents, and then that brought our total amount levied, way at the bottom, to $4,105,909. Which brought our mills to 59.39.
Well, this 134 amount, that's basically what is
Yeah.
additions to the.
Yeah, that got added to.
So what do you wanna drop this, or do you wanna split the difference?
What's that?
What do you wanna drop?
No,
Or do you wanna
I'm
split the
okay with
difference?
this. I'm okay.
Just getting run down.
No, it's disgusting because you can't really predict what's gonna happen with these buildings. That's the bottom line. Buildings and bridges. What's our main headaches?
Mhm.
And how do you predict it? We could have a bridge going on and all of a sudden our cash reserve is 3 million and we're gonna have to fix it, take 1 million out of there because we don't have it.
Especially when they eliminated the prairie dog, like.
Well, and then when you don't, if it's a major one, do you wanna wait for the funding? I mean, we actually replaced the bill with our own money, cause we didn't wanna wait. It was a major road, so how do you sit here and predict and say, oh, we got 3 million? To me, that 3 million is,
It's not.
yeah, it's a lot, but when you look at our state of our buildings and our roads and our bridges, it ain't a lot. Plus, what happens with our, and you guys all hate them like I do, look at all our inspections. How many hundreds of $1,000s a year and we can't even count on them? We change one project because we get an inspection and 6 months later, all of a sudden the bridge has to be closed. So I don't know,
You know,
I can live with it.
Okay. Are we, do we vote on this today or at our next meeting?
At October 7th.
October 7th meeting, so this is just more of a working meeting again today.
Mhm.
Does anyone have any other questions or concerns? We still have time because our next special meeting isn't until what, 10? Okay. Amy, you seem like you have
Yeah,
something, okay.
well, I'm just looking at last year, you know, it was 59.28, 59.39. I'd love to keep
Okay,
saying.
I'm not saying, I agree, I agree.
I'd
Can you
rather
work your magic?
Oh, it's so,
Yeah.
Reserve.
Do you want me to?
I'd rather it at least
Yeah.
be same or, you know, less, that would be my goal for
Yeah,
this.
I agree, I don't wanna.
Okay, so you want it back down to 59.28.
At least, yes, I mean,
you need Velcro.
yeah, sorry, good thing this is working, huh?
Okay. We'll see what we can do.
When you update these numbers and send them to us, put on the bottom of the page, final.
Yeah.
Call a friend.
And like I said, you being new and keeping up on all this stuff and.
That's a lot.
Oh, I'll tell you.
I'd just like to give her a
That's
year for
Yeah.
a level, I think next year we're gonna be. I think you're gonna feel more comfortable
Oh,
with
yeah.
it, definitely.
I think from all the years, the budget to get easier, it seems like it's getting harder and harder every year.
Well,
And that
we-
restrictions, yep, it twists and-
This year was 3% and then pulling the prairie dog money almost.
Yeah.
When is the appropriate time? You know, if we wanna see actual reserves in the general fund, is it? Is it end of year?
I would say December
Yeah.
31st. So we wanna
Our
look
first
at
meeting
first in January.
So we really have a little bit more of a, I mean, then at least Christina could have her actual eyes on it instead of what was
Right,
pushed forward.
and then what we have to keep in mind, I feel what we have to keep in mind is we never know how many people are gonna pay those taxes by December 31st, or if they're gonna wait till January. So 1 year you could have taken a
Yeah.
$500,000 before December 31st, and the next year you might not take in that $500,000 until after, so it varies there.
Don't we usually get our fourth quarter update like at the end of January? That should give us
Our treasury update
yeah, I think so, isn't it?
on.
Well, even here for, yeah,
Oh, fourth quarter, yeah.
yeah, because you gotta wait till the end of the year.
Mhm.
I'm just thinking by the end of January, we usually get that, so that'd be. Crunch time or number time, at least we can look at it. Oh,
Yeah, because I'm not sure I'm really comfortable with the cash and the amount yet, you know, like
Yeah.
the dollar amount. I know we're using last year's, so we should be somewhere in the ballpark, but.
All I know is if we hire a town administrator, health insurance investigation, it would be on the top of their list. I mean, just to like put it to literally, for someone to own it instead of.
Is that an annual?
Annual. And they come and they, boom, they tell you what it went up and you have a short amount of time to make a
Not good.
fast and furious decision. They don't give you much time to research it, because they don't want you to pull out, right, you elsewhere, and you have to give, the company we're with now, we have to give is it a 2 year notice?
And we did meet with, what was his name?
I don't remember.
We met with someone who is the expert, and I think that that's the other option. I mean, it costs you.
We should have budgeted for that, we'll take it out of cash reserves apparently.
I mean, just to
But
have
yeah.
someone,
A professional that looks at the whole big picture, they're not specifically selling an insurance, they're looking at the whole big picture, so.
that's the.
Second opinion.
Mhm. But I have listened to some other commission meetings and from other counties, and they got hit a lot harder than us with health insurance. So we did okay this year. I heard some as high as 20%.
Remember when we
7.
first came on with this company, they weren't gonna do any raises?
Mm-hmm.
Very little, and the first year, I don't think, the first year we didn't get one, and with that second year is when we got banged hard again.
And then 2 years in a row, we had, was it 13? 13%, 2 years, and that killed us.
That's why I want someone who, this is what they do. They're the experts so that they can come to us, because we would never jump. I don't think you're ever comfortable. It's scary to think about trying anything
And I
else.
think the employee, I don't know you guys, but I think they're pretty happy with the health insurance that we have right now, so it's hard to move away from it, but. Let's look at options. Okay,
Okay, so I reduced the cash reserve by $7,542.48.
I'll wait to hear you.
So the total amount that I put in cash reserve is at $3,176,500. I brought the total amount levied, the request for total amount levied to 4,000,000. Oh, 98,000, so 098, $366.52. Which brought our mills to 59.28.
good job.
And so.
I'm not, I didn't get the number from the office yet, but. Can they read what we mean? I don't know. Is that this one here now?
1,000-ish.
Yeah, okay.
For in the cash reserves.
So 100, it increased our original cash reserves, we had 3,050,000 in there
Mhm.
originally. Now we're at 3,176,000, so it increased by 125,000 roughly.
So that's the,
$125,000. Okay, all right, very good. Is there anything else for the budget meeting? Hearing nothing, meeting adjourned. Now we'll wait for our next special meeting at 10 a.m. Or can we? Is there? Yes, there's a public comment period. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, public comment period, yes, I missed that. Does not look like there was anybody here. Didn't
And I
anybody card?
received no cards.
Okay, so no public comment. All right, now with that meeting adjourned.